something that needs a little fixing on Far Point Farms.
Hey guys, it's Eric here at Far Point Restorations, and check this out. I picked this up at my local Harbor Freight. These are going on clearance. They have replaced the Harbor Freight 20-gallon parts washer with a new model, and I've had a chance to look at the new model, and I can tell you that the new model is this model with gray paint. Other than that, I was unable to find any difference whatsoever. So this was $89 on clearance. The new model is $129 not on clearance. And like I said, I couldn't find any difference. So I went ahead and picked this up. I need a parts washer. It's kind of hard to see there, but right behind me is an engine. Right off screen is another engine, and I've got a transmission sitting in the Volkswagen bus outside, all of which need to get taken apart, cleaned, gone through, and put back together again. And you can do this stuff with brake clean, but man, you're wasting a lot of money. So it was time to get one of these for the house. Now up on top here, I picked up some other stuff. Got this on eBay, a pair of solvent rated gloves. You definitely, if you're going to use real solvent, which I am, I'm not using Simple Clean or Simple Green, whatever it is, you'll need a pair of those. I also picked this up on eBay, flow through parts wash brush. So it just comes with like a metallic hose that you can kind of spray stuff with. But I like the fact that it comes through the brush. And so you kind of clamp a hose to the existing hose that's on here, and then you have a nice brush that you can clean. The brush gets chemical going through it at all times. So picked one of those up. I think that was $6 or $7. And also, while I was at Harbor Freight, picked up a couple of these. These are little wire brushes that I picked up. So anyway, we are going to open this thing up and set it up. I'm not going to make a cleaning video with it today, but I certainly will bring you along on the journey. Now, there are a lot of upgrades you can do to these, but the only one that I'm considering doing is having the fluid drain back down into a 5-gallon bucket. Keeps down the odor, and just overall, I think that's a better bet long term. But for right now, I don't have any way of doing any of those mods that you see online for these. So this is just going to be a straight install. And I got regular, I think it's SG1000 parts washer. I got 10 gallons of that I'll be putting in here. But let's go ahead and get it out of the box. I'm kind of excited. This has been on a kind of a bucket list item here for the shop for a long time. So I'm real happy that the day has finally come that I get to have this pile of goodness. Okay. Bunch of goodies here, so let me go ahead and unpack everything. We'll get it all laid out. Actually, I can just go ahead and lay that in there right now. I need to wait on that, I guess. Yeah. Paint quality looks pretty decent. The last piece appears to be a lower shelf. It's been a while since I bought this thing. It's been sitting for ages. Turn that around. See it? And give me a second, I will get everything else cleaned up. All right, first we'll take a look at the pre-assembled part here, and that's this. It's got the top on here. And I know why this part is pre-assembled. I mean, it's got a nice long hinge on it as part of it. But I have seen this on a couple of other videos, and I want to make sure to point out why this exists. This right here, this hinge, some people complaining that it doesn't go up far enough. It's designed not to. This is a type of metal that melts. So if the solvent or gas or kerosene or whatever it is you had in here were to catch on fire, the heat is going to cause this hinge, which is special, to melt. That lid's gonna smash down quickly, and that's gonna save your garage, because what it's gonna do long term is put the fire out before it burns your whole building down. So that is there for a reason. I highly recommend, if you have taken that off, you put it back on. As far as the inside of this, there's not a lot going on here. We have our tray that's removable, and and you can put large parts on here, kind of wash it. The bottom of the tank is going to be just filled with chemical. It also comes with this piece here, which I'll leave both these trays out while we're building the legs, but this is for small stuff. So let's say I disassembled a carburetor and just want to soak it overnight. You take all that stuff, you throw it down in the bottom there, and it just sits completely immersed. So that's how I do a lot of cleaning. I have been using a gallon-sized jug of BG parts washer, parts cleaner, and it just has a tray that you push down in there, and you can clean small carburetors or parts of carburetors in that. All right, so I'm going to lay those two pieces aside for right now. Odd colors, you know, but I've always admired these at the store, so I knew that this was going to be the color combo, but kind of a baby blue. The top is more of a, that's almost like a Craftsman red. All right, we're going to flip it up on its side here so we can get started on actually putting it together. And there's not a ton to this. You can see there are 4 legs and 4 brackets. The legs are going to bolt in here, and there is a shelf that goes here that is right here, this red shelf. Now, one modification I am going to make, and I don't have it with me, it's supposed to arrive in the mail today, is this plug that's down here. That's for draining the fluid out. I'm going to replace this plug with a petcock valve, so it'll make it a little easier. It's got a hose extension that sits on it, and that'll make it easier to drain this thing out when I want to clean it or whatnot. Tools, you don't need a whole lot of tools for this. Phillips head and 10mm, looks like the entire thing. It does come with washers, so apparently it doesn't want you to, you know, have this stuff come apart once you're building it. But let's go ahead and get it started. Each one of the legs attaches here, and each one of the legs comes with 1 Phillips head, or it's going to be 4 bolts for each of these. I'll just go ahead and start attaching these. This does not appear, unless I'm missing something, to be a very lengthy assembly, and it doesn't look like anything overly complex, so that's kind of cool. I just got done yesterday putting together a Harbor Freight workbench, one of those metal workbenches, and that was pretty involved. It wasn't terrible by any means, but I could see where a lot of people might struggle with trying to assemble something like that, because it was very unforgiving. I've got 3 of the 4 legs installed. We'll go ahead and install our shelf. Now this shelf, I probably will eventually drill some new holes and move it around, but for right now I'm going to set this up the way it was designed to be set up. I think I want to lower it down, like I said, so I can slide a 5-gallon bucket in there. This is awfully high off the ground right here, but we'll do that. And this shelf is kind of necessary because it gives rigidity to these legs. I think with the length of these legs, they'd kind of just wobble if they didn't have that extra support at least somewhere on here. And of course, raising it would probably be a bad idea, but lowering it down would give it even more strength. So I don't see that being a problem long term. And I'm not tightening anything. If you're paying attention to what I'm doing here, I'm just starting everything. Once I start it, I'll probably set it up right and make sure that it's level, and then I'll go ahead and tighten down all of the connectors. All right, now that everything is installed loosely, and that was nice, only one extra piece, and it's one of those lock washers. I'll just add that to my pile of things. But now that everything's attached in there, I'm going to go ahead and go around and tighten everything up. Because of the lock washers, it looks like I'm just going to need to use the Phillips. But if you do need to use something to hold the nuts, it's a 10 millimeter. Yeah, that's number 2. Just a few more to go, and we'll be ready to install the motor and move this thing into position. I would say 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes at most setup time, so not bad at all. Of course, there's a lot of modifications that people make to these that can add to that time, but for the basic out-of-the-box setup, there's not a lot to this. And it feels very firm, even without the bolts all tightened up yet. It really doesn't have any wiggle to it. It's just standing here, which is nice. Let's see, still got 2 to go here, or 3 to go. Yep. All right, that's it. So let's get this thing off, turn it around, bring the camera in. I'll show you the inside so we can get the pump and stuff hooked up. Okay, like I said, there's the tray right here that sits in there, and you can have your smaller parts in. This kind of sits and lays on top. All right. Nice surface there to work with. And over here we have our pump, and there's not a lot to it if you take a look at this inside. It's a plastic fish tank pump, really. And there's our hookup. And it just kind of sits in here. All right, you feed the cord through the side. See that? And that's it. It kind of locks into place. The filter, and this is to protect the pump, is just this, which I would probably clean pretty regularly. And it does have a line here, highest liquid level. Now, I think about 8 gallons is what I want to put in. That should bring us to about there, so go ahead and reattach that. And then lastly, to finish this off, you've got this flexible hose here. Like I said, I'm going to clamp that rubber brush onto the end of it. It's got a connector right there. I don't know what size that is, 9/16. Let's take a look. Hold on. Yeah, my bad. That is a 19. So I'm not going to go crazy with that because it's got an O-ring. And the pump, as you saw, was plastic, so this connector here is as well. And I don't want to put a bunch of stress on that and mess it up. But there we go. Started by hand. Get it to where it started, and I'll just give it a little snug. That ought to do it. Well, there it is. That is the completed project. It did not take any time at all. Now, I would put fluid in it and give you a test of it right now, but I'm waiting on that petcock valve for the bottom. So I guess that'll wrap it up for today. But yeah, overall, let me back the camera out and we'll take a quick look at it in its completed form. Overall, yeah, I got exactly what I wanted, which was a parts washer for the shop. It does have the safety feature of if it bursts into flames, it'll put itself out. It does have this nice connector, right? And it pulls down and up. When I'm not using it, I close that up. Now, one of the other things that I will do as a minor mod is to add a seal. You get weather stripping along the top here, and that helps with evaporation because the chemical that I bought is actually way more expensive than this tool is. 5 gallons cost me $99 on sale, think regular price is like $130, $140 at Tractor Supply. So that's something to keep in mind. It does evaporate off. Now, granted, you're going to use this thing. If I'm going to do 3 engines with it right out of the gate, I'm going to burn off a lot of that chemical. That stuff is going to be nasty. It's going to have absorbed so much of the gunk and grime that it's probably not going to be all that great. There are ways of recycling that, and in a future video I will drain it out. I'll show you how to go about filtering it out so that you can reuse it at least a few times before having to finally part ways with it. That'll do it for today. If you have any questions on this fine piece of machinery, let me know. And if not, well, I'll see you in part 2 when we use this thing. Take care.